Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Mo's Adventures. Today I've purchased a Vevor diesel heater. It claims to be a 8 kilowatt. A lot of videos say to kind of inspect everything, as the workmanship may not be the best on these. So we're just going to go ahead and kind of dive right into this. I'm going to take the fuel cap off. 2 snap clamps on both sides. And then this whole unit just yards up. You have the inner workings, which are as follows. This is obviously the fuel tank. There's a fuel pump here, fuel line that's got a rubber hose on this side, and then some kind of cheaper, still rubber, but you know, there's no hose clamps or anything on it. Just the workmanship of this thing is not the greatest. You know, like right there, the fuel hose is not all the way on. Anyway, so it's got the controller on this end, and the heat comes out of this end, it sucks in on this end, and you got your combustion gas intake and outtake at the bottom, as well as the fuel line goes in down there, which is, I'm pretty sure it's kinked off anyways. But so guys are saying just to kind of have a quick gander at this, do a little inspectolating on it. How's that mounted in there? Okay, so there's 4 bolts on the bottom, and then the actual heater itself will come out. If you pull this cap off of here, that little thing to protect the impeller, and then this slides right off. Well, we're just figuring all this right out, aren't we? Guys are saying to have a look at that impeller and make sure it's not touching the shroud anywhere. So, I mean, from what I can see, everything seems to be in tune. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put it all back together. Factory preset position. Yeah, see, that fuel line's kinked off. Damn it. So I have this kit. Comes with this little kit of air intake and what have you. So it has this air intake hose, the black one, and then the this, I'm assuming, is stainless exhaust pipe. This stuff feels relatively thin, but you can still person handle it on there pretty good. Good grief, that's stiff. Ooh, Dinah. Moses sandals. That would be my sandals. And then this is the air duct. Does she expandolate? Oh yeah. Settle down, battery charger. Settle down. We have the muffler, some clamps. Comes with a remote control. Not sure how well that'll work. Not sure. Sorry, that's a silencer for the intake. This is the muffler. I misspoke there. I guess without further ado, pretty much I'm going to just plug this in, fill it up with diesel. I'm going to temporarily bend that exhaust pipe pointed out the door. We're going to do a test run on this and just make sure that it works. Okay, so the plan here, I would like this relatively low, because you got to keep in mind you're going to be filling up the fuel tank on the top, right? So you don't want it way up there or something. Yeah, I think this would be a pretty good height. Not sure how well you can see it there, but I'm just going to put in some L brackets here and attach it to the door on both sides. But first, I think we should testolate on it. So I'm just going to set up some cinder blocks. There we go. Okay. Wish I had alligator clamps for that. So that stupid green fuel line is kinked a little bit on the bottom because of the high amount of quality craftsmanship here. Fill it up with diesel now. Okay, so the first thing I'm expecting upon startup is this is supposed to offer a prime mode. We're just gonna go direct drive here. Plug her into the battery. Okay, things are happening. We've got something showing up on the screen here now. It's not going to turn on just yet. Description of fuel filling in manual mode. Under the shutdown state, press the down regulation button and setting button. Down regulation and setting button. I'm guessing these two. It says H off. So if you do setting button and down regulation, and then once you release, then you press up. Now she starts primalating. Close-up visualization. Not really sure how long you're supposed to let this prime for. Still got a big air pocket throughout the whole line. Well, I'm just going to cut to when this is primed up. Alright, so if I press power, it jumps to on. And I've got a fan speed icon. Fan is slowly turning on, from what I can tell. Oh yeah, we're getting some smoke coming in here. Oh yeah, that smells like diesel. Very good. But the smoke just subsided, and I heard it ignite. So now it should be getting hot. I can hear the little pump-lators pumping. And then as you can hear, that exhaust is... Oh yeah, she's ignited now. Our big test here is going to be if it blows hot air, everything works correctly as it should. And then I'm shutting it down for the night because it's late, and then I'll continue recording tomorrow. And, you know, install all the bracketry and everything. Holy Dinah. Oh yeah. Look at the smoke. How dare you? This thing gonna blow up or what's the story, Wishbone? I'm gonna put this pipe on there because that is just creating a whirlwind. That is loud. Oh. Now remember, Mo, that friggin' pipe's gonna be hot when you go to pick it up later. The shop is just full of smoke. Holy. This thing is hauling arse. I wonder how much of a difference that muffler's gonna make. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to integrate the muffler into this. So I've got this unit to go through the wall, and I'm gonna use a steel plate around this end of it and some dryer vent to come through, and then the end of that pipe will just go onto the end of this. Wowzers, the heat coming out of there. Holy smokes. Let's put that on there. Oh yeah. That's gonna cook me out of here. This thing is just, that's a tremendous amount of heat. So for reference, or context, or whatever you want to say, this shed, is 12 foot wide and 14 feet long. Well, that's it. This is going to work really good for warming it up in here. The test run's going well. I'm pleased with it. Everything seems to be working. It's blowing hot air. Everything's working as it should. Nothing's making weird noises or anything like that. No error codes. So, I think we're safe to carry on with this project and mount her up to the door, and should be good. Okay, so here we are on the next day, and made a little center line on the door. I'm going to keep the exhaust low, and I'm going to drill this 5-inch hole on the inside of the door, and then there's a 2-inch foam that's between the inside panel and the outside panel. We're going to get that out to 5 inches so that it doesn't melt. And I have this thin 22 gauge steel that I'm going to bend this into a 5-inch round circle. And then I'm going to cut this sheet down on the outside. And then my exhaust port, which is this thing, will go through this for kind of a nice clean finish. And I'm hoping not too much in the wintertime, not too much, exhaust condensation is going to build up on the door. I may have to put a little extension pipe on this and get the exhaust out a little bit farther. If that's what we have to do, then so be it. No big deal. But I think that should leave a nice finish. I'll drill a hole through this sheet and this will sit flush. I'm probably just going to square this up essentially and put that in the middle. Cut it here, and that'll go on the outside. And then the round sheet is going to kind of come through the door like this, and it'll just leave, enough space that it doesn't get super hot. It can breathe. I'm probably going to leave the inside of it open. I'm not going to sandwich anything together. And that's kind of the plan for the exhaust. Oh, there's the bracket. Steel plate that's going to go on the outside of the door. I used this VHT, which I'm guessing is very high temperature, drum and rotor paint. It says it's good for 900 Fahrenheit or 490 degrees Celsius. Then we just have to put the gasket in her. One there, like so. Put this through the plate. Another gasket. The backer plate and the bolts. That'll sandwich together. Okay, so the paint has dried. And this is what I've come up with. So that'll go on the outside of the door, and this will come through, as you'll see in a second. One benefit about this, maybe two benefits. The first benefit is that this piece that I ordered off of Amazon, it's for a boat hull or RV through wall coupler. I don't know what they listed it as, but you get the idea. Is very good quality. It's heavy, durable. It's going to withstand the heat. The other thing is, if on the outside this creates too much condensation up the side of my door, I'm going to use, this is the heater pipe that I'm going to use on the inside, but I have another heater coming and a different longer pipe for the use in the bus. But I could just put this right on the end of it, like so, and I can get that farther away from the wall there if need be. And I could also put the exhaust on the end of it, or pretty much do whatever you want with this, obviously. But that just slides right on the end. On the inside, it's just going to slide right on the end like that, and I'll bend this up into the heater. I'm going to go ahead and mount this up and then put this on. I believe I should probably put this on before I put it through the wall. I'll put my clamp on there, that way I'm not trying to struggle down at the bottom with putting the clamp on. One other thing to note, I am going to put some of this muffler seal around here to try to stop any fumes from being trapped inside of the shed. I've gone ahead and put some of that JB Weld on the inside of the tubes there and put it on the end of the tip with a twisting motion, and then just ran my finger around it like you would with caulking, and put the old clamp later on there. Well, I've got my little bit of a heat shield that I've made up here out of 22 gauge steel, and I just figured I'd go this route instead of a dryer vent because it's a little bit thicker, I guess. It's not the most perfect fit, but it'll do. We're pretty much ready to, we'll go ahead and install that from the outside. Okay, so we got it mounted up here, relatively center to the hole, and I think that's plenty of breathability around that pipe for as hot as it's going to get. And then there's the view from the outside. Looks half decent, I suppose. So this might be a bad angle for you, but okay. So it needs to be roughly right there. Well, if I don't cut this part out, which I probably will, because most of my chatting seems to get cut out of here because I ramble on, but I'm going to go ahead and mount up the brackets for this. I might try to figure out a way to secure that fuel tank on there so that it doesn't go all sideways on me again. And figure out exactly where those L brackets need to go, install them. I'll get the heater mounted onto them. And then, yeah, it's pretty much done at that point. Just need to figure out a battery situation. But I have the bus battery I'm going to go take out of the bus because it doesn't need to be in there for the winter. I mistakenly left it in there all last winter, so it might be, you know, dead. But I'm going to go get the bus battery and we'll hook the charger up onto that because, like I say, I'm sure it's dead. And we'll give this thing a go. We'll see how hot all this gets and whatnot. Well, I've got it all mounted to the wall. It's currently running and blowing hot air. Pretty much all I'm going to do from this point on is the fuel line up there is kind of airlocked a little bit, but it's still blowing hot air. You know, these are typically kinked off on the bottom side there. These fuel lines are recommended by many YouTubers to just replace them with a different fuel line, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I am getting a little bit of smoke from that JB weld that I put down at the bottom, down in there. Well, what just happened there? I failed to secure my power wires very good. I just used these clamps and I knocked one of them loose, resulting in a hot shutdown on the pump, which is very bad for it. I quickly connected it again and turned it back on, and it immediately realized that the unit was still hot, and then the fan kicked back in to cool the unit down. So I may have just pooched this thing. I'm not sure. Hopefully not. But I guess I should have properly terminated those wires and mounted them down there so that that couldn't happen. Well, due to that mistake, I'm gonna sit here and monitor this thing now for a little while. It's still blowing hot air, and the exhaust is still blowing hot air outside as well. So I'm gonna let this thing do its cool down, and then I'm gonna take these wires off and put proper terminal ends on them, put it back on the battery, and you know, do things a little bit more properly. I'm gonna, now that this is shut off, do what I said there, and then try it again. I might let that JB weld set up overnight and then do it tomorrow, because I was getting a little bit of smoke coming off of that. So, but other than that, we should be good to go. One more thing I want to show you. On the outside here, where the exhaust comes out, this plate completely cold, as well as this plate is not completely cold, but it's warm. And even when it was running, this is only warm. Like, the heat doesn't penetrate this outer ring too bad. Now, I'm sure if it was sitting here running super duper hot for a while, then you know, I may not be able to touch it, but that's like, I don't know, room temperature. It's not hot. Now, the inner ring I don't dare to touch because this is a little bit thicker steel out here and it's going to hold the heat for longer, so that one's probably pretty hot. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up. I'm probably going to keep this battery charged up with just a trickle charger, and I'll probably I'm going to do the terminals, do that fuel line. I might put the case back on it. However, I mean, I don't mind looking at this the way that it is. Well, I guess I'll film the outro to this setup that I've got here. I did properly terminate these wire ends and connect it to the battery properly. I also have the battery charger connected to the battery with this battery tender unit. I replaced that crappy green line and purged all the fuel. I went ahead and put the intake tube on here and just wired it up there for now until I figure out if I'm going to put this cover back on. I want to monitor this as I use it for a little while here. The gauge is showing 22 in here. As for down here, at the top of this is kind of hot, but I can still hold my fingers on it, on this little piece here, so I'm not worried about any of this being hot. Yeah, she's blowing some really hot air out. Working great. I'm definitely very pleased with it so far. And outside, definitely is a smell. This plate is ice cold. It is not transferring any heat into that plate at all. This plate is warm to the touch, but just barely. Like bath water is warmer than that for sure. So I'm sure that inner ring's super hot. Well, I left this unit run overnight. It's been 13 hours of running at 1.7 hertz, whatever that setting means. And when I went inside, fuel level was here, and now we're down here, which is pretty much empty due to where the fuel pickup is. And it is hot in here. That's its lowest setting. We are 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit or 88 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm sure if it was cold outside, like minus 25 or 30 in the dead of winter there, it would, this thing's got no trouble with keeping up. But if this thing lasts, I'm definitely happy with it. It will, on cold winter days I come in here and need to do something, I can crank this thing up, probably go in the house for 15 or 20 minutes, and I'll come back out here and it'll be like summertime. So I do believe that this will allow me to, with having a second one, do some work in the bus throughout the winter. And it's pretty easy to install. I was worried about the exhaust going through the wall, but after seeing it for myself, you know, I've drilled that hole that I drilled in the wall is 5 inches, and then with that exhaust tip thing that's on there, I believe that was for a boat hull. It was advertised as, also on the Jungle website, and I think it was like 20 bucks or 25 bucks Canadian. Yeah, it's not even getting close to being worrisome down there at all, especially with me being able to touch all of that by hand. There's no way. Even if I had this thing running full bore, it's only on 3 hertz, but even if I had it running full bore, no. I'm not sure if 3 hertz is half bore or what level of bore it is, but I think it runs up to 5.4. So, anywho, stay tuned. I'll be installing one of these. Probably the first bit of it's going to be a temporary spot because I haven't done anything with the interior of the bus, and I need to strip the floor out of it, and I'd be definitely more than satisfied with, you know, leaving this thing run inside the bus full on to let paint dry or what have you. You know, because I plan on rust proofing the floor if it's rusty. I'm not sure if it is or not because I haven't torn it out yet, but I think that this will work really, really well for doing that. You know, a guy could spend a weekend in there and just let it run. with, I don't think it would consume much more than 20 liters of fuel for a whole weekend running at full bore. I mean, maybe it would take more than that, but that'll be determined in the future. So, yeah, stay tuned for some bus videos here this winter. Anyways, guys, if you kind of enjoyed that video of me installing this thing, I'm going to probably edit out quite a bit of it to avoid me rambling on like I am right now. But if you did enjoy the video, maybe hit the subscribe button. It helps grow the channel a little bit, gets more information out to more people, and maybe someone's seen something that they learned here the day, I don't know. But yeah, hit the subscribe button and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks. You know, at some point I am going to cue a outro music credits, maybe, or I'll just cut the video.